About 6 months ago, my son actually came home with his left arm adorned with all of these things called loom bracelets. And if you're a mother or father, you understand kind of what this phenomenon overtook the sort of early childhood age over a couple months ago. And my wife and I were completely amazed, enthralled that he was able to find a way to build these by himself with little to no direction whatsoever. In fact, he told us, I learned it by watching, and I learned it by taking one apart. My wife was really, really excited. She's like, well, I want to get in on this, right? So what she did is she went to what we all do when we don't know how to do something, YouTube, and learned how to create some loom bracelets by a 12-year-old girl who had actually created a series of videos that you could create loom bracelets with. From then, my wife decided to post this on Facebook so that all of her network, her mother network, could learn to build these for their children as well. That's how we learn today, right? So this got me thinking a little bit, because this is kind of where I live. When you think about the U.S. education system right now and how it leads us up into how we gather our professional development in our jobs today, we think about where we started from K to 12 and even into higher education. There is always a learning advocate. In fact, there are many learning advocates. We have teachers, administrators, experts, aides. Their job is to get you to the next level. They are measured by how well you know something. In fact, that is sometimes the direct measurement of how well they do. You see, when we start out in elementary school, we have a teacher there to nurture, sort of bring us forward. Then we move on to high school. There's a teacher there, too, that sort of directs us, guides us. We move on to a sort of college area, and then, again, the professor there really sort of brings us along, directs us, prepares us for that next level. But then what happens when you get a job? All right? All of a sudden, you have to learn on your own. Where are these learning advocates? Where is all these people? Where did they go? Well, they're still there, and perhaps you've heard of some of the names they're known by: HR, training departments. Those really don't bring a lot of warm feelings to your head whenever you think about those things. The learning department, sometimes we have some catchphrases now called capability development or talent management, things like that, right? So their job is to help you get to the next level. But for the first time in your life, when you're on the job, you are measured not by what you know, but how well you perform. And anybody heard of a performance assessment? All right? There is a reason for that, right? You are now known by not what you know, but how well you perform. So let me give you an example of workplace learning in today's environment. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, a colleague of mine sent me an email asking a question. I quickly responded with an answer, email back. Done, right? That's how we learn today. Ask a question, get a one answer back. Most corporate education happens that way. However, what would happen if we took that answer and we put it onto a social network? What would happen if I put that on a page, a Facebook page, a Twitter stream? Suddenly, that's not only a one-way, two-way street, a linear relationship, but now a web. Now, I am being held accountable. I am being held responsible for that answer. I'm crowdsourcing other answers, and it's broken down the walls of hierarchy whenever you're thinking about learning and gathering information. Also, it has legs. It goes places, this information. I can search on it later on. So in the small group that I work with inside of my company, I've instituted sort of a social first, email second mentality. Let's think about this way first. Let's think about getting that information out there for everybody instead of keeping it trapped between a linear relationship. And this is nothing new, so let me give you some research behind it. So a learning behaviorist by the name of Charles Jennings asked the question, can you remember one great learning experience you've had? And he asked this to hundreds, thousands of professionals. Can you remember one great learning experience that you've had? So thinking about that right now, can you remember one great learning experience you've had? What was the last thing you learned? And if you immediately said, it could be anything. It could have been like how to fill out that TPS report. It could have been making a cup of coffee. It could have been, how do I, get around Kilbourne Hall? It could have been any one of these things. How did you learn that? Did you go to a classroom? Did you have a formal training experience? Did somebody come and teach you how to do that? No. In fact, over and over and again, as Charles started to get these answers, he found that only 10% of those answers came from a formal or direct learning experience. In other words, a classroom, a scheduled event. 20% involved social, talking with people, an expert, a mentor, even just collaborating online in a social network, social media. 70% was informal, experienced, on the job. That's how we learn. So if we know we learn this way, if we know that we learn best by experience, on the job, why do training departments, why are they even still called training departments? Why are they continually pushing formal classrooms? That's the way we learn in the job. Scheduled events, that's the way we learn on the job. I'm not saying it should go away, but there is a place for it, and it's not for everything. We today are in a learner-centric world, not a trainer-centric world, not an instructor-centric world. We are the catalyst for our own knowledge gathering, and through that, our own performance. It used to be that people thought of education as something we needed to design, and the only way you can get good education if it's designed well, all right? That is becoming less and less the case. It used to be that we thought knowledge was captured in the heads of people. It's now being thought it's captured in the network. We are becoming like a hive mind. And it's not something to be scared about. When I heard that, I'm like, that's kind of weird. But it's nothing to be scared about. If you don't know something, what do? Google it. If you don't know how to do something, what do? I go to YouTube, maybe a WikiHow. When I want to know a quick answer, I go to my Twitter stream, maybe my Facebook page. Why are companies blocking these great learning resources still in this day and age? We are in a learner-centric world. We are the catalyst for our own education now. So, a challenge to departments, to people who are in those education arenas, and I was once one of those. Understand what your people want to know and what they need to know. Show them. Help them. Become a facilitator. Become a supporter. Yes, it's still important to have directive education. Yes, it's still important to have designed education. But please become like a concierge, a mentor. And learners, you are not off the hook. In this day and age, you, again, I'm going to use this word again, are the catalyst. You need to ask. If you know something, share it. Okay? You need to be on the network. Just like my wife. Thank you.